Hi, it's Agnes and Dan Haynes. I have got to your request about the Neville chapter 5 from the book Prayer is the Art of Believing. So, what I've done is I've listened to the audio that you sent me reading me the chapter, I've taken some notes, and I'm going to discuss certain things with you. Now, the first thing that he talks about is about thought transmission. This is Neville Goddard's book, by the way. Now, he says, imagine for others mentally representing someone as healthy, hearing them saying it out loud. So, what he's talking about is your thought transmission. You're imagining this person that you know that's sick, and you are transmitting that they are healthy. So you're saying to yourself, isn't it wonderful that they're healthy? And you're also using the audio imaginary capacity, hearing them say out loud, oh, I'm so well, it feels so good after being so sick. So you would replay that in your imaginal scene, and that thought transmission of them is going out to them, and they accept it and they embody it. Okay, so things that you transmit to others become something that they receive and something that they accept and embody, if it is something that they can envisage for themselves and accept it, as in they accept what you have sent. Okay, so he also says to pray successfully, know what you want before you ask for it, and feel that you have it. And prayer is the feeling of the fulfilled desire. Okay, true prayer. So you're not praying saying, God, please give me this, and you don't really believe it and you expect God to do the work for you. What you have is a prayer where you get the feeling of the fulfilled desire. And that's how the thing comes about, because again, you've transmitted out, with the assistance of the God within, the belief and the knowing that you can actually create that. Okay, so the prayer is a confirmation and a assumption that this is how it's going to be. Okay, so when prayer is done in such a way, it has a much higher success rate. When you hear people that pray and say, oh God, please give me this, and there's kind of this neediness and this longing, a bit like what you do if you're doing that with a specific person or a person that you love, but you don't feel loved yourself, the success rate is really low as to what you get back in the form of love, and this is no different. Okay, next bit. It doesn't matter what you seek or where or whom it concerns. You just have to convince yourself of that which you deserve. No, let's go back there. You must convince yourself of that which you desire to see manifested. So again, what you really, really believe deep down and feel, that's what you get. I'm going to read it one more time. It doesn't matter what you seek or where or whom it concerns. You must convince yourself of that which you desire to see manifested. So again, the more you feel and believe something to be, then you get a perfect match on the outside. Okay, so that's how you create. You actually, I'm going to just explain that a little bit more. Everything is created already, all the possibilities. Okay, so for example, you want a new car, so you have the option of a red car, of a black car, of a white car, of a silver car. All of those are already created. Now with the car, it's really easy to see. So what you're doing is you're selecting the silver car because that's the creation that you want. So, but it doesn't mean all the other creations, all the other versions don't exist. They all exist simultaneously. You are just selecting one option. Okay? The same exists for a specific person, a relationship, a job, money, all of those different versions exist simultaneously. So you're actually not creating, you are selecting, okay? Like books on a bookcase. Lots of different books, you pick the book you want to read, same principle. Oh, I love this stuff, Dan. I'm so glad you brought this up. I just love talking Neville. I love breaking it down. And I love trying to make it a bit more simple because his language can be quite challenging. And it can be quite religious too. So I find if I can take out the components that are a bit hard to understand and, you know, not make it so religious. So anybody, whether they're Buddhist or Hindu or Jewish or atheist or they believe in Jesus Christ, it can be relevant to everyone no matter where their belief core systems come from and what they believe today. So next bit, if you have prayed correctly, assume the reality of the state sought. It must outpicture itself because it's been affirmed. So again, whatever you affirm internally, which means you have a state. Now, by a state, Neville means you are in a, well, let's give an example. You could, because this one's easy to see. You can be in a poor state, so you feel quite heavy and limp and powerless and you don't have many choices, so all that emits itself from you. When you're wealthy, you feel a lightness, a freedom, a joy and a ability to do anything that you want to do. So that state, those two states are quite easy to see. Okay? So if you have prayed correctly, I'm going to read it again, assuming the reality of the state sought. So you assume the new state. Doesn't matter what state you're in now. Whatever it is you want, you've got to learn to assume that new state. So you have to start to believe, feel, know, and act from that place of, if I had that thing I want, what state would I need to assume to get there, okay? So, the state sought. It must outpicture itself. So whatever you've got going on inside, whatever state you've got going on, it must become something on the outside because you've already affirmed it internally. So you're always just getting a photocopy of what's going on inside, the contents of your consciousness, meaning what you are conscious of through thought, feeling, and belief. Now, let's talk a bit more about thought transmission. Your consciousness is reflected on the mirror of your mind, and it's projected in space to the one of whom you think. Okay, let me read that again. Your consciousness is reflected on the mirror of your mind. So what you're thinking, feeling, and believing, it is reflected in your mind, and then it is projected into space to the person. In this case, it's about a person, okay, with whom you think. So by mentally speaking to the subjective image, so by mentally talking to the person, that gets transmitted to them and it reproduces in him what was mentally affirmed by you. So again, by mentally speaking to the image, to the person, that gets transmitted to them and it reproduces in him what was mentally affirmed by you. Okay, so it shows there is a great power of influence upon others when you activate something different about them within you. Okay, your fixed attitudes constantly modify your consciousness, and consciousness modified by your beliefs, objectifies itself by the conditions of your world. Okay, Neville sometimes gets a little bit woo with all the old words in the language, but your fixed attitude, so what you believe, and you're constantly modifying and thinking about things, then your consciousness modified by your beliefs, so it changes. and then it objectifies itself, meaning it goes out, and then it creates a 3D version of what you've got going on inside. Okay, so whatever your world looks like externally, or anybody else's for that matter, you don't even need to ask people what they believe. You can just see what they're living. It will tell you what they think and believe and feel, especially if you're reasonably close to them. Even if you're not, if you hear something on the news about something happening to someone, you can tell by what's occurred what stuff they had going on. Once you start looking from a Neville point of view and you get good at this stuff of looking at results, you can rewind back and it will give you thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of that person or of yourself. Okay, to change a man, you must change your conception of him. Believe to be the man you want him to be. So, for example, I do get a lot of emails from you saying, you know, she's really stubborn and he's very uncommunicative, or he's very arrogant, or he doesn't give anything. So these are all your conceptions of him, okay? So to change that and to change him, you must change your conception of him, to believe to be him to be the man you want him to be. And you've got to mentally talk to him as if he were already that, okay? So if you've been saying, you know, he's really stubborn, then you have to change your internal stuff that you've got going on about him in regards to this. So if you don't want him to be stubborn, you have to see him as free and easy thinker, okay? So, but you have to project that first to activate that within him for it to come back to you from him, okay? So you mentally talk to him as if he were already that. All men are sufficiently sensitive to reproduce your beliefs of them. Therefore, if your word is not reproduced visibly in him, now listen to this bit, the cause is to be found in you, not in the subject, meaning not in the other person. So whatever is going on in front of you with another person, okay, you got to rewind it. If it's not visible what you want in that person, the thing that you want to see and hear, the cause is to be found in you, not in them, the subject, okay? Really important, because I think so many people go, oh, he did, she did, you know, and you stand there with your hands on your hips, but actually it is activated in them by the projection and the stuff you've got going on within you, and then they act it out, okay? So if you want someone to change, you must change your concept of them, okay? Love this stuff, it's exciting. Everyone can be transformed, every thought can be transmitted. Assumptions awaken what they affirm, they are living. It's a live thing, an assumption is living. You assume something about somebody else or about yourself, and it goes forth and it becomes a 3D thing, okay? Now, it won't return, but it will accomplish that which I please, okay? So let me just go back a bit. Assumptions awaken what they affirm. They are living, active, and won't return, but they will accomplish that which I please, okay? So a little bit confusing, but you have an assumption. It's a living and active thing. It goes out and then it accomplishes whatever it is that was the assumption, that which you please, that thing that you would have liked, okay? That's what he's saying there. The word spoken in quiet confidence. So whatever you say mentally in quiet confidence will always awaken a corresponding state in the one in who it was spoken, okay? So whatever you say about that person, your ex, your mum, your dog, your boss, it makes no difference. The words that you speak in quiet confidence will always awaken a corresponding state in the one in whom it was spoken. So if you've got someone in your life that's a complete what have you been speaking in quiet confidence about them? Ask yourself that. Okay, whether the object of your attention be near or far, results will be the same. So this component I've written down because many of you have got long distance people. And again, I want to say, as Neville has confirmed, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about distance, okay? It gets projected out and it goes and it sticks to them, okay? Consciousness is the one and only reality. Now, what is consciousness? Consciousness is what you think, feel, and believe, okay? And it becomes the one and only reality that you experience. A lot of people obviously have different things that they think, feel, and believe, so they're experiencing a different version of life to you. Now, prayer. Prayer depends on your attitude of mind for their success and not on the attitude of the subject. So, if you are praying for something, say you're praying for a particular person to be in your life, okay? The prayer depends on your attitude of mind for the success and not on the attitude of the subject. So it doesn't matter what the other person thinks about you or about being with you or about not being with you or about being angry at you. It doesn't matter any of that. You let all that go. It is the success is about and dependent on your attitude, okay? What you truly believe of others, you will awaken in them, but before it must be alive in you. Now, Neville, as we have talked about, and I have said in that video, everyone is you pushed out. This is where it is. What you truly believe of others, you will awaken in them, but before it must be alive in you, okay? What you truly believe of others. Sorry, I'm just a bit distracted by a noise out there. Okay, what you truly believe of others, you will awaken in them, but before it must be alive in you. So if you want someone to love you, that thought about them loving you must be awakened in you first. And the fact that you are lovable in the first place. Okay? What you truly believe of others, you will awaken in them. So if you really believe that you are loved and that they love you, then you can't not get that. It's a perfect match. Okay? Now, disregard appearances. So many of you get stuck on, they're not talking to me, they've blocked me, they don't want to communicate, they don't communicate long enough, they're hot and cold. They show up, then they disappear, and all this stuff going on. Now, please remember, that is a result and a response to what you've got going on in the first place. Okay, so disregard that appearance is what Neville's saying. And he talks about using creative imagination. So this is the thought transmission. Visual images, mental sounds, mental actions. Visual images, obviously, what they are is you see. Mental sounds, you start to hear people saying things to you or saying things about themselves like I'm healed or I love you. And mental actions where you see congratulations with a handshake or something like that. So all of those things, visual images, mental sounds, mental actions, they're called vibrates. They go out and they do stuff, okay? They do stuff to the end result. And in the last YouTube I did, I put another little YouTube that talks about controlled vivid imagination, how to use those components. I will post that again as a link in this description. Okay, and the last thing, there is no thought or feeling without expression. Okay, every thought, every feeling you go out is a living thing. It goes out and it expresses itself in some way. Excuse me. So, whatever you've got going on externally, always ask yourself, what have I got going on inside in my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that has created this? Okay? So that's how you get there. Well, I hope that's been good. Lots of love.